Week 15 waiver wire. You need some pickups here to help you win in your second round of the playoffs. Here's a few running backs that can help you heading into Week 15. The first guy is DAndre Washington of the Miami Dolphins. Washington, he was a fill-in for Myles Gaskin, who went on the COVID list. And Gaskin, he's most likely out in Week 15 as well, reports came out. And Washington, he got picked up in a few leagues. He's still available, though, in 73% of fantasy leagues. He had a mediocre game, 13 carries, 35 yards, 2 catches, 17 yards. So Washington next week, I think he should be the starter. He's got a middle-of-the-pack matchup versus the New England Patriots. The only thing is Salvon Ahmed or Breida come back. They might be the starter, but Washington right now, he's up there on the priority list as one of the running backs to get. So if he's out there in your league and you need a running back, this is a guy I would spend a waiver on, is DAndre Washington. The second running back I'm looking to get this week's La'Mical Pirine of the Cincinnati Bengals. Pirine, he got most of the work in the second half after Gio Bernard struggled and fumbled early in the ball game, and also with Trevion Williams having trouble and fumbling. And Pirine, he had a mediocre game versus a weak Cowboy defense with 10 carries, 32 yards, and 2 catches, 9 yards. Pirine, he's available in 98% of fantasy leagues. We don't know if Joe Mixon's coming back this week, but Pirine, he's a guy to take a look at, and as the week goes on, to see if the reports are coming out that Pirine's going to play or not. So Pirine, like I said, he's available in a bunch of leagues. He's a guy I'm not too crazy about, but if you could get a starting running back this late in the season, you go out there and get Pirine. The third running back I'm looking to get this week's Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. Pollard, he just looks quicker and faster and coming off the line more than Zeke Elliott. Pollard, yesterday we saw it again, him have a good ball game with 13 touches, 11 carries, 39 yards, 2 catches, 9 yards, and that touchdown at the end of the game where he barreled into the end zone. And Zeke Elliott, he's just banged up, I think. The pop hasn't been there, and he's been slow, is Elliott. And next week he's got a decent matchup, is Pollard, versus the San Francisco 49ers, which isn't bad. And Pollard, he's available in 79% of leagues, and Zeke had 14 touches to Pollard's 13. I know the game was a blowout towards the end, but Pollard, he's a guy I'm definitely going to take a look at. Fourth running back, Jeffrey Wilson Jr., the San Francisco 49ers. He's versing the same Cowboy team next week. He had a mediocre fantasy game as well, 11 carries, 31 yards, and that rush touchdown, and also 1 grab for 13 yards and a fumble loss. Jeffrey Wilson Jr., him and Mostert are pretty much in a split, and he got the goal line work. And once again, Mostert left this game early, but he came back towards the end of the ball game. But this is still a split in that backfield. Both guys, they're not putting up huge numbers, but once again, a guy getting a decent workload is a guy you should be owning heading into the final weeks of the season. And Jeffrey Wilson Jr., he's available in 81% of fantasy leagues. So take a look at him. In the fifth and final running back I'm looking at on waivers this week is Peyton Barber of the Washington football team. Antonio Gibson, he missed this ball game, and Barber, he didn't do much, to be honest, but he still got 12 carries, 37 yards, and 2 catches for 1 yard. So if Gibson's out, Barber's worth to go. He's available in 91% of fantasy leagues, and next week he's got a pretty decent matchup versus the Seattle Seahawks, who give up the 9th most fantasy points to running back. So Barber, he's a decent ad, and he's a decent guy you should probably get here if you need help at the running back position. And that's a few running backs I'm looking to add on waivers here heading into Week 15.